Dear friends, tonight the theme that I had in mind was about the way that, especially the way that equanimity and compassion balance each other and help each other. When compassion is aware of the dukkha in this world, in this samsara, both in the broad Dhamma sense of being subjected to rebirth and going around in the cycle of samsara, of being subjected to the negative tendencies of beings here in this, what they call the kama loka. We live in the world of sensual desire, and so it's the nature of beings in this world to frequently be troubled by sensual desire. So compassion can notice those difficulties, those challenges, can notice hatred and conflict in the world. But with the factor of equanimity, then it's possible to know about those things without being overwhelmed with yourself, becoming sorrowful or depressed about it, or becoming agitated or fearful or disturbed in any way. Another side of the practice of compassion is having the clear vision of the end of dukkha. So having the idea about the cessation of craving and how peaceful and sublime and excellent that would be. Having an idea about the cessation of being free from being bound up in the cycle of rebirth, and how peaceful and excellent that would be. Having the idea of being free from attachment, and how peaceful and sublime and wonderful that would be, and having some idea about the way of practice which is leading to these states. And then an aspect of compassion then is taking care of moving oneself towards the end of dukkha, and having that idea internally and externally regarding beings in the world who suffer, visualizing for them the end of suffering, the end of all of this unskillful, unwholesome patterns of thought that perpetuate suffering, arriving at a place where a new idea, a different way of thinking is opened up, where it becomes possible to let go of those negativities and arrive at the end of suffering. So part of what compassion does is it knows how there's a way in which compassion is also can be active in perhaps speaking about the Dhamma or doing some other kind of activity or effort to help to relieve the suffering of beings and to bring them towards liberation. it's said that when the quarreling monks of Kosambi were in the middle of their argument, and people had invited the Buddha to go there and spend the Vasa there in that town of Kosambi, the Buddha, out of compassion, offered a teaching to the monks, and he trained them to stop quarreling. He advised them to overcome their quarrel and to be reconciled. And so, in so doing, the Buddha was showing his compassion by taking the effort to teach them. And then, as the story goes, the monks didn't want to listen. And they said, if you could imagine this, they said to the Buddha, "Don't you worry, Venerable Sir, we'll take care of our own problems." In such a disrespectful way, told the Buddha to not bother them and to let them continue their quarrel. And so then the Buddha left that village, and he did not stay there for that Vasa. And instead he went into the forest and spent the Vasa in the forest. It could be said that when he retired to the forest, he was practicing equanimity. So equanimity enables us to not be caught up in agitation, but instead to withdraw from agitation and to take our own heart to that peaceful place. Compassion informs equanimity because due to compassion we don't simply remain still and withdrawn from the world, but instead we have the energy out of compassion for the world to help. When we come to sit down for meditation, one of the ways that many people begin their meditation practice is doing a bit of a check-in to see how they're doing, what it's like that day, what the mind is like, or what the chitta is like, what the state of mind or the mood is like, or you could say what the heart is like. And so if when sitting down for meditation and you do that that check-in, if you find that the heart is really dull and passive and even sleepy, that then you want to arouse the more active factors. So if that's what you find when you come to this meditation tonight, you might spend more of the meditation minutes reflecting about compassion, reflecting about, this is the end of dukkha, this is the way to the end of dukkha. The visualizing is like a more active practice, imagining the end of dukkha, right? But if you happen to come to the cushion and the state of mind is activated or disturbed or uptight in some kind of a way, then you don't want to take an agitated heart and then activate it further by, thinking about compassion. Instead, the factor of equanimity is what makes it possible to withdraw and draw back And it's like, you could say even the heart is feeling some stress or agitation, but the equanimous mind is able to just watch and see what it's like. And that's like the only job is just to watch and see and know what it's like. Or if the thoughts are activated and there's a tendency for thinking to come up like really strongly and being difficult to stop thinking about something, then bringing to mind that equanimity factor can help you to locate that part of yourself which is only involved with seeing, being aware of what's going on, and is like there's a part of the mind which is really still. It doesn't have anything to do except to see. I even sometimes think that the factor of vijnana, or cognizing, the knowing factor, that a pure vijnana is not able to be disturbed because it doesn't do anything except know. It's not able to it's not involved with stirring up emotions or having reactions about good and bad, or having emotions or something like that. So there's the part of your mentality that could be involved in reacting to things that like and dislike, good and bad, painful and pleasant, and responding to all those dualities and being activated by all those dualities. But then there's another aspect, like somewhere within you. I'm not sure if I could say vijnana for sure, but there's a knowing factor, an awareness factor in you that only knows. That's not involved in doing anything. All it does is it sits still and knows. And so that factor to me is like where equanimity lives. And so just even in meditation, you can see what kind of balance you need to make the mind balanced and alert, and have a good meditation time to see if you need to be more active, thinking in terms of compassion, or if you need to become more still, thinking in terms of equanimity. Having given this much of a little introduction, let's sit for meditation. I welcome all of you to come to upright and balanced posture. Being aware of the physical body. Aware of the weight of the body pressing down on the cushion. Aware of the sensations touching the body. and aware of sensations inside the body. So like if the muscles are relaxed or if they're tight. And aware of the breath. The natural rise and fall of each breath. Letting the mind be as calm as a great mountain. Which doesn't move. And watching the movement of the breath. and letting any troubles, inside or outside, come to their end. Wishing for every person to come out of their suffering, to come out of their dukkha, to realize the end of suffering. Letting compassion ring out from the strength of that mountain of equanimity. So in every direction, with no limits, may compassion flow and ring and sound, wishing the end of all dukkha in every direction. And coming near the end of this meditation, letting that thought of compassion go everywhere with no boundaries. Let suffering come to its end. Let the freedom from suffering be known. And aware of the sensations in the body, aware of the material body, aware of the sitting on the cushion and your posture. I know that at the Buddha-Nussern, the program usually goes until 9 o'clock, but because of our schedule tonight and the extra things that we have to do, I'm only going to continue the discussion here up until 8:30, and I hope that will be enough for everyone. And let's see who's here in the room.
Thank you, Ayya. That's fine with us.
So I'd like to actually open it up right away by asking for your questions or comments about this practice of compassion and equanimity, how you are able to work this practice in your own life and in your own meditation, or any questions you may have. Or giving a report. And if you don't want to have a question or give a report, then you may give a blessing. And if anybody in the room has got a question, I will hand you the mic and you may ask your question. Okay, I'll call in Saket.
Yes, thank you so much, Ayya. Ayya, I was wondering, many times I've been guided to do some sort of chanting. So, for example, when I'm not able to settle my mind, or when I'm coming across a situation which I think is too much for me to bear, then I start chanting. For example, you had once shared Iti Piso is a good chant. So I was wondering, is that similar to equanimity? Because I think in day-to-day, we don't often come across that word of equanimity. And I was just trying to relate it, that emotion or that action of equanimity.
To my experience, the chanting of the Iti Piso and recollecting the qualities of the Buddha is to bring joy and inspiration and to lift the heart. The phrase, are you familiar with the Girimananda Sutta?
No, I don't think so. I may not be.
It's a very popular sutta in Sri Lanka, maybe popular in India as well. one of the reflections in there is, it's just a few lines. I'm gonna open it up so I can quote it to you in Pali. Let me see. I got to start my bhavana. If I could learn how to type, it would be much easier.
Take your time, Ayya. No problem.
May I please have the red chanting book? My teacher, Bhante Gunaratana, has written a book about 10 perceptions, which is based on the Girimananda Sutta. And the part that I can send this to you afterwards. Etang santang, etang panitang, yadidang sabhasankara samato, sabupadi patinisago, tanhakayo, virago, nimbananti. This is calm, this is excellent, namely calming all mental formations, giving up all levels of rebirth, extinguishing craving, experiencing dispassion, nibbana. This is number 10.68 in the Book of Tens, in the numerical discourses of the Buddha. Girimananda was the name of the bhikkhu who received these teachings. So, etang santang, this is peaceful. Etang panitam, this is excellent. Yadidam sabhasankara samato, that is the calming of all mental formations. Sabha upadi patinisago, giving up all upadi, all clinging. Atanhakayo, giving it up. Virago, the fading away of the dispassion. And then nibbana. Etang santang, etang panitang, yadidang sabhasankara samato, sambhu padipadinisako, tanhakayo, virago, nibbananti. If you will look that up and memorize, whether in Pali or in English, and make that a recitation that you could complete over and over again to bring the mind to this letting go of all agitation, coming to complete peace, coming to nibbana.
Certainly, I will go through this Girimananda Sutta and will commit to memory and recite. Thank you so much.
Okay. I'm going to bring Richard into the conversation.
Thank you, Ayya. But what did you say the number of that sutta was?
10.68 in the Book of Tens of the Anguttara Nikaya.
Right. In Bhikkhu Bodhi's volume, it's the Nala Kapana Sutta,
Well,
68.
10.60.
68. 60?
Okay, I should have said 10.60.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. That's fine. But also, I just want to point out about that that's like the attainment of nibbana, that level of common mind.
Yes.
So there might be some
Nibbana
preliminary
is-
work needed to be done just before that. Anyway, I'm just joking. But
Well, what do you think? Is it safe for a person who has not come close to? Well, I don't want to say anything about Saket and what he has or has not attained. You may be a student winner, and so I think somebody who is on the noble path certainly can contemplate nibbana, and that contemplation helps to keep the motivation going. It keeps the orientation going, and it just like as we go along, minute by minute and day by day, are we going in the right direction or the wrong direction? And just reading those words and just hearing something, you can't define what nibbana is. You can't say, these are the criteria of nibbana. But we have these words and these teachings that give like metaphors or expressions or approximations or some kind of like pointers towards the direction of nibbana. And then I think that if somebody contemplates that and they are able to like integrate into their psychology some of this imagery and these pointers about which way are we heading, which way are we going for nibbana, then it's easier to practice mindfulness and clear comprehension and heedfulness, and then is the heart going in the nibbana direction, or is it going in the opposite direction? And if you see that thinking some kinds of thoughts or saying some kinds of speeches or doing some kind of things that's taking you the opposite way, then if you've got it like sort of embedded into your mind, like what the quality of nibbana is in a positive way, then you would easily catch yourself, and you could be able to know, like in a much more quick and intuitive way, whether the thought or the mood or the state of mind is going in the right direction or not. So it's a kind of like a way of being orientated. I'm not trying to say that people should be materialistic about it and should be, it's like, let me get my nibbana or something like that. I'm not trying to advocate that, but I think these teachings are given because they're beneficial for us.
Yes. So in the Book of Fives, Sutta 14 in detail, you've got the 5 powers, and the 4th power is the power of concentration. And not to read the whole thing, but it just says, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, with the previous passing away of joy and dejection, he enters and dwells in the 4th jhana, neither painful nor pleasant, which has purification of mindfulness by equanimity. This is called the power of concentration. So it seems that Buddha is specifically tying in equanimity with this power, the fourth power, the power of concentration. And when one is able to perfect that, then one can go on to the power of wisdom. Now, the interesting thing, though, about these five powers, and it's mentioned in a number of suttas, is, as Buddha always says, like here, Bhikkhu, there are these five powers. What five? The power of, I prefer confidence to faith, the power of energy, the power of mindfulness, the power of concentration, the power of wisdom. And what, Bhikkhu, is the power of confidence? Here, a noble disciple. And he repeats that in all of the sections. So he says, a noble disciple is endowed with confidence. He places confidence in the enlightenment of the Tathagata. Thus, now in this volume, he says, go back to Sutta 2 to see what it says there. Thus, the Blessed One is an arahant, perfectly enlightened and accomplished in true knowledge and conduct, fortunate, knower of the world, unsurpassed trainer of persons to be tamed, teacher of devas and humans, the enlightened one, the Blessed One. This is called the power of confidence. So my point in bringing that particular thing up is I think that's a good thing to recite as well, because that may calm the mind and give you some confidence in heart. You know, if you're trembling or something from a difficult situation, I mean by that the heart trembling, you know, thinking of the Buddha in this way will develop that confidence for yourself. Anyways, that's just my point of view. Thank you very much for listening.
Great, thank you very much. So what helps you to calm down? What helps you to come to equanimity if the heart is disturbed? We've heard two examples at least. Okay, Shara, do you have something?
Yeah. So sometimes one of the things that helps me come to equanimity is chanting the metta, loving kindness meditation. So that brings peace into my heart, knowing that there is a source for positive energy in the universe. Yeah.
Good, thank you.
I actually have almost memorized the actual chant from the chant book, and I really like that chant a lot. So.
Which one is it? Is it the Karaniya Metta or a different one? Because there's a few that are very popular.
How does the Karaniya? There's two that I actually have almost memorized. How does the Karaniya one start?
Karaniya Metta Kusalena Yantang Santang Padang Abhisamecha.
Yeah.
And then there's Metta Sahagatena. And then,
Yeah, that one's pretty good. I was thinking of, I don't know, I'm kind of tired. I'd have to look up the name.
Yeah. Let's hear from Ravanti.
Thank you, Ayya, for the guided meditation. So for me, what helps is sometimes when there are disturbing emotions, I talk to myself and don't take it personally. This is the nature of anger, or this is the nature of agitation. So whatever arises will pass. So just observe it and just let it pass. So that most of the time, with time, it helps to settle my mind. Just wanted to share that.
Okay, great, thank you. So within the four Brahma Viharas, it's not necessary to think of them as being four different practices, but instead it's a kind of accumulation or an unfolding of different aspects that are added to the practice, starting with the practice of loving kindness. So then the big quality of loving kindness is its universality, that it's wishing the best, wishing true happiness for each and every single being, or every possible being in the whole universe, from those who are the greatest and the highest and the most mighty to those that are the most rotten and miserable beings who have are without redeeming qualities. Metta reaches all of them, and is, metta, that kindness is exactly the same. The metta that you would have for the Buddha is not different than the metta that you would have for some no good person. It's just metta. It's just metta, and in that way, there's a kind of like a sort of a closing the loop between metta and equanimity. That both of them have this quality of a universality, and part of this idea of universality is boundlessness, like thinking of the kindness going out in all directions into filling the entire universe or the entire cosmos. You imagine the whole universe being saturated and filled with loving kindness. And so, in a similar kind of way, as Rawanti was mentioning, if you take a kind of like a sky, this is sort of like a sky meditation. If you put your mind up in a boundless limited sky or in a limited space, and then you look down on the teeny tiny itsy bitsy problems and the upsetting emotions that the little people have while they're scurrying around down on the planet Earth, and but you've placed your mind out into the space, this boundless space, and then because like space is so big, then space is able to like embrace all of the individuals with all of the various things that individuals have to go through, are all sort of like encompassed within this great vast space. Or you could say, this is a metaphor that I heard from Christianity, that you could imagine the Holy Spirit is like a bird with its wings, and our humanity is like an egg which would like to hatch into freedom. And so then this like Holy Spirit is sitting on the egg and keep protecting the egg and keeping the egg warm, and making the conditions that then it's possible for the egg to have that breakthrough and to hatch and to come to life. So obviously that's from a different tradition, but in a similar kind of way, that you could say that equanimity and metta together are like the two wings that are holding all of the individuals in the whole world, and creating that protected, safe, and a space of goodwill. And we know that every single being has the desire for happiness, that we all have got somewhere like that bodhi nature and that potential to wake up and our potential can be realized. But like our loving kindness is giving the protection to let all beings be able to hatch, let them all be able to wake up. And then the sympathetic joy and the compassion are said to be more related to the particular circumstances of the spiritual success or happiness, or the goodness, seeing the goodness in beings, seeing the goodness in the Buddha, seeing even in a low down no good person, that person somewhere inside, they've got that seed of goodness that just needs to be wakened up for them to be good and for them to be capable of coming to their full awakening. And so that sympathetic joy appreciates and rejoices and is lifted up in inspiration, seeing the spiritual goodness in the world, whereas compassion then is able to respond to the difficulties and challenges and the sorrow in the world. And so those two are kind of more like can be specific responses to particular things that we could experience within ourselves, or that we could see and observe outside of us. But then, because those two middle factors of compassion and sympathetic joy are held at the two ends by the wing of universal loving kindness and the other wing of boundless equanimity, that balances them, and it keeps the mind stabilized, so that when going to joy, even with joy that we're not it's like joy within a framework which is very stable, and then also compassion within a space that's very stable. Okay, Richard, you have more to give us.
Yes, just to, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, something appeared on my screen. To back up what you were saying about the connection between metta and equanimity, there actually is a sutta where the fourth jhana, equanimity, becomes metta again, and then the next three items are connected with the first three formless states. So formless state number one becomes compassion. Formless state number two is connected with sympathetic joy, or however you want to describe it. And equanimity, it comes up again in the fourth formless state. So you can see that the Buddha recognized, I'm sorry, I can't remember what sutta it is. I tried to quickly look it up, but I couldn't find it. But there is an actual sutta that describes that thing where metta and equanimity in the fourth jhana are paired together again like that. Anyways, I thought you might find that interesting. Thank you very much for listening.
I'm going to get some comments from the chat. Nothing is personal, as there is no person, no me, no mine. And so yes, indeed, that contemplation of not self, it's not personal, is a powerful, it's a really effective way to come to equanimity, to establish equanimity if you've been temporarily come to some disturbance. It's not personal, and that is quick way to become settled. And then there's another comment about that. This is if somebody receives, if you get some feedback from others, some harsh treatment or something unfair or something that's upsetting about that is being given to you by other people. If other people are like disrespecting you, or other people are using hard words on you, or throwing stones at you, or something like that, there's the contemplation that that belongs to them. It doesn't belong to you, and you don't need to internalize that. And this is actually a really super important training in our times, maybe in all times. Society can be very judgmental, and persons who are discriminated against, whether it's because of their age, their gender, their appearance, or anything else, those ones who are the targets of discrimination often get lots and lots and lots of this negative messaging. So you're like, oh, how could you be so dumb? You're so stupid. You're so, this or that. And it's like not legitimate at all. And it's like a terrible thing if somebody hears these negative messages and then they internalize it and start to believe the negative things about themselves. And the Buddha like specifically gave us this instruction, like if harsh words are blame and condemnation is coming from hatred, you should not accept ideas that are coming from hatred. You can give them back. You say, okay, well, thank you for sharing, but I don't need that today. And so that somebody was criticizing the Buddha, and he said, if you have, if your friends come to visit you, do they sometimes bring you a gift? And I said, oh yes, very often they bring a gift. And I said, well, if they give you a gift and it's something that you really don't need, and it's not useful to you, it's not something you want to have in your life, then what do you do? And he says, well, if I'm not able to use it, I give it back to them. And the Buddha said, yes, and just that way, your harsh words, I don't need them, so I give them back to you. And so that is a way of coming to equanimity. Here's another to mention that restlessness is one of the hindrances in meditation. One of the at the initial stage of becoming established in meditation, and then it's also, there's one of the higher fetters. So if a person feels agitated, you don't blame yourself for having agitation, and instead work with it, and even realize there could be in a certain way a positive agitation. So if you are striving and needing to stir up energy, realizing that you've only gone so far along this path and you've got more to go, and that you wish to go and continue to go further on this path, then there may be some agitation because of realizing what you've not yet gained, what you've not yet realized, and wishing to realize that. So that's kind of the kind of agitation that's the next to the last fetter. So that while you're developing along the path, you have that chanda, that will for the final release. And that's helping to move you along the path of the training. But then at the very end, if you want it, you can't have it. So you have to let go of that last restlessness of wanting in order to allow the final realization to come to be. I see it's the Karaniyametta Sutta that is what Shari was thinking about. And yes, everything is connected. So I appreciate this conversation, and I hope that you will have the idea that you could evaluate your character and see you maybe metta is something that's very easy and natural for you, and if that is wonderful, that's great. And then you can cultivate that, stabilize it, and bring it to perfection. Or you might see that one of these factors is something that's more challenging, more difficult, and not quite so easy and natural for you. And then if that's the case, like if it's not so easy for you to be equanimous, then you should really make the effort to learn how to bring equanimous up when you don't have it, how to bring it up, have certain thoughts, images, verses, or practices that you can do to come out of agitation into equanimity. And if compassion is not easy for you, then you should discover how to practice and what kind of thoughts and actions and reflections and contemplations are helpful for arousing compassion, so that you can know what it's like when compassion is alive in you. What changes when compassion is really alive? And then if it ever happens that because of some circumstance or some situation, a hardness of the heart would take over and the compassion will be blocked, you'll be able to know, this is the opposite of what I'm practicing for, and then do what's necessary to do again to make compassion be alive as a factor. So each one of these factors is somewhat different from the other, one from the other, and it's good to explore each one by itself, so you know what it's like for you, how, like in a visceral way, what the state of mind and the state of the body when these factors are really working for you, and then use this as a guide to know if you're staying on the right track or not. So this is my suggestion for you, and we can close by paying respects to the Triple Gem.
Oh, excuse me, Ayya, it's Richard. Just one quick thing. I found that sutta. It's in book 5 of the Samyutta Nikaya, subsection 46, and it's sutta number 54. In English, it's called Accompanied by Loving Kindness.
Okay,
So,
great.
if you want to look at that, or if people want to look at that, they might find that quite interesting. Hey, thank you
Okay.
very much.
Araham Samma Sambuddha Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivadimi Svakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Subharipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Thank you, everyone, for your participation and your practice today.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Ayya.